On the most recent episode of the Hansen and Hunt podcast, Mr. Hansen and Mr. Hunt reviewed an article that asked whether or not social media as we know it is dead. The article had specifically to do with marketing and scale marketing, where companies would traditionally launch massive social media marketing campaigns to as wide a target audience as possible, hoping to generate customers by targeting as many people as possible. And how this is slowly morphing into companies targeting, or at least they should be targeting, more subcultures on social media that are smaller and focused on any interests that users already have, and finding what they're interested in and targeting them instead of the traditional scale approach. Mr. Hansen and Mr. Hunt also discussed how many CMOs for different companies are going completely against what they should be doing and are still telling their social media teams to create more and more channels when they should be trying to get rid of channels and only focus on the more profitable ones, or at the very least, if they add a new channel, they should make sure it will be profitable first and get rid of a less profitable one as they add a new one. They also discussed various comments that people had about their last podcast. One of the comments said people should create ads that do not interrupt what people want to watch, but instead companies should create what people want to watch, and then people will buy whatever they're selling. Also, Mr. Hansen and Hunt discussed a new and valuable YouTube marketing trend, where content creators that instead of making their own thumbnails are hiring graphic designers, or the new term is thumbnail designers, to make thumbnails for them, and are paying them, in certain cases, large sums of money. They specifically mentioned Mr. Beast on YouTube would pay winning thumbnail designer potentially even up to $10,000 for just a single thumbnail if it was up to Mr. Beast's code and if it satisfied him. They also discussed Duolingo, a company which has been focusing on what they call social first marketing, and how they even in their annual report specifically mentioned their social media marketing team and how they were surprised by that, how they even mentioned them. What the social media marketing or social first marketing has to do is, instead of even selling anything, what they do is just try to create buzz about their company on social media to get as many people talking about it as possible, and then the people who are already interested will let more and more people know about the company and will thus be able to sell a lot more stuff, instead of finding leads primarily. They're just trying to create awareness, and then the leads come after. Later in the podcast, they discussed trends in crisis communication, where how younger professionals in the field are more worried about saying things socially unacceptable instead of legal issues, whereas older individuals were more worried about legal issues. And Mr. Hansen and Hunt said that they were surprised how very few people in the industry were worried about layoffs or restructuring, when there's been a lot of that going on in that industry at this time. Towards the end of the podcast, Mr. Hansen and Hunt talked about calibration meetings, what they are, and how to get done, or how if you want to do well, you should just focus on doing well at your job, and then you won't have to worry about calibration meetings.